Hi, Amy Wan, Siobhan Jordan, Angela Thompson, Fiona, Cloda, Farty Pants, Baldy Boots, Egan Reed. I just like trying to say that every day. Brenda M, Good Chip Lollipop, if I said that. Danielle Blake Smith.
Lorna Stewart, Julie Wu, April Hill. Good morning. And if you've just come over from Instagram, this is your first time with us, welcome to the party. We're here Monday through to Saturday. We do this every day, except Saturdays is just the papers.
There's going to be
it's great.
And there's going to be a few wine o'clocks coming up soon too. So yeah, guys, I need everyone to light a candle, James Flanagan. In the next 90 minutes, I'm sitting my driving test.
Oh, right, let's all do a candle. Let's do an imaginary candle now.
Is that an imaginary candle?
Yeah, I'm being a candle.
Okay, hang on, let's look. No, I'll be a candle on a lit. Here you go.
Oh my God, I'm seeing you pass, James. James, I just visualised you with the pass.
Just hope you don't have to do reverse parking. Because you do a 3-point turn or reverse parking, don't you?
I did a 3-point. No, I did both. Yeah. I can get the hang of it.
You know what? I'm going to say this now. I've never used the technique they say to use in reverse parking to reverse park.
I've
also never reverse parked. Obviously, parking
do you know what?
around the corner of a road.
I'd love somebody that knows about ADHD. I wonder if there's ADHD coaches that tell you a different way to the way that driving instructors tell you, because I could never compute it, so I just used to pretend. I used to go, okay, I'm looking there and I'm doing this, but I didn't know what I was looking at.
That's really that sentence, driving, I don't know what I'm looking at, isn't good.
Because they would say, look at the
sticker
but can you how's that going to tell me where to put the wheel?
Well, if I'm honest, it never worked for me. But anyway, James, good luck. Good luck.
Good luck, James.
There you go. There's a power talk in there somewhere.
Don't drink too much coffee.
Who?
James.
Oh.
Because it just makes you, just don't do it. Just,
There's too many instructions for ADHD, says Abby Reed.
And do the square breathing.
Parallel parking, DK1612.
Don't talk to me about
sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't.
But it's so stupid.
I get it, but I get it instinctively rather than trying to go through their process.
Thank you. Like, most ADHD people I know will not read instructions because instructions will confuse them.
Yes.
But now I have no problem in saying, it's like Mark was trying to give me loads of different instructions this morning, and pre my diagnosis, I would have gone, fuck, I'm so stupid. I just literally don't know what the fuck he's talking about and I can't take it in. But I just said to him, I'm not going to be able to take it in like that. I need to just like do it. So, and that's a big key. It's just to not be ashamed. Like, I spent my whole life so ashamed that I can't read maths. But there's so many other things I can do.
April Hill birthday.
So I just say, oh, I'm sorry. I just have, the way my brain works, I'm just like maps and me. But what do I have that counteracts that? Great communication skills. So I will go up to anyone and say, sorry, can you tell me the way to... That's the way of all my life I've got anywhere is by asking someone else.
You've also got an incredibly flexible body. Good morning, Tim Reed.
He just lives here, so what can we do?
Creatorholic, happy birthday to April Hill. RC, my tyre went up the curb coming out of the test centre. Oh dear, James, you've started us off. What's your worst experience? How many times did it take you to pass?
My worst. Well, for those of you that already know the story, I apologise, but for those that don't, it's a great story. So this was my third time or second time, I can't remember, taking my test. And she said, I'd like you now to turn the car around in the road so it faces the other way, something like that, whatever it is they say. Anyway, I did it, but I ended up the same way around as where I'd started. And when I got home...
That basically means you didn't turn around.
And she said, would you like to continue the test as obviously you failed? And I was like, what on? And she went, you're facing the same way. And I don't know quite how you did that. And then when I got home and told my dad that I'd failed, and he said, why? And I said, because when I tried to turn the car around in the road, I ended up the same way around. He went, they failed you on this? This is not your driving, this is your sense of direction. You never had a good sense of direction, which of course I don't. So I mean, how are we ever going to get anywhere if I start driving again? I did eventually pass.
Clodagh Egan says, I was asked to read a map by my pal to get us home. I read the river line and we ended up back at the same place 3
I
times.
love you.
But hang on,
That's the
hang
sort
on.
of thing I would do.
How did you end up at the same place 3 times following a river line? It only goes in
She
one
probably
direction.
turned around, so we need to go back the other way. We've got lost.
Right. Who's this? Kylie Mitchell. I drove the wrong way around a roundabout.
That's easy.
On my first...
That's easy to do.
You
If there's
always go
nobody on the
left.
round... No, but I don't understand that because it depends where you're coming from. But listen, I just want to ask you this one question.
Aaron Bullimore
Right.
can't do left or right. I know what you
Do
mean.
you think that every person, taking out the environment, not thinking about the environment, should drive? Because I don't. I think there's some things that some people are good at and other things that other people are good at. Like, I don't think everybody should be a parent. I don't think everybody should own a dog. I don't think everybody should drive because not everybody is good at driving.
I think it's so prohibitively expensive. I think lots of youngsters... I think the age-old idea that it's a rites of passage process of growing up.
Yeah.
To run a... I mean, I know 2 young adults who have passed their tests and they can't get the car on the road.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
But in a way, that's good for the environment. I mean, our daughter's just like, I'm not going to drive. Why would I drive? Why would I want a car? Why would I? And I think that's...
Rebecca Bruce, I fell 5 times. I took mine quite late, actually. I took mine in order to be a runner. And I was 20... I think I was 22 when I took mine. Most people could drive.
Have a look on YouTube. You might find the old series in Married Signal Manoeuvre.
Shelley, happy birthday. Can we just say congratulations to Tez, who's getting married?
Are you, Tez?
That's lovely news.
Oh, congratulations.
And Shelley-
How lovely. And Shelley, happy birthday. We'll sing you happy birthday
and
at the
April
end.
Hill, we'll do a happy birthday at the end as well.
Anybody there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, does anyone else feel a bit flat today? I feel a bit flat. I do apologise. I'm trying to... Right, UK in rapidly escalating diabetes crisis. You pulled this. Diabetes. Explain to me in simple terms how diabetes... You can either be born with it...
I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to be able to explain
No,
it.
but you've experienced it in the family. I mean, I've never really understood diabetes, if I'm honest. Type 2,
So
type 1.
type 1, and this is what's really important because people with diabetes get really upset about it if you get it wrong. People with type 1 diabetes, they're born with that.
Is it genetic, inherited, or just a
Oh,
proclivity?
God, I don't know.
Okay, tell
I
us,
think
guys.
so. But my dad has type 2 diabetes, so he's been managing it for the last 30 years.
Right. Let me ask if you've got diabetes, guys. So does that mean when you... Okay, here's a question. I'm being purposeful. This is what you do when you direct people. It's like you pretend to be a bit of a Luddite, but you kind of know what you're talking about a bit to get the right information. If you get diabetes too, is it always lifestyle related?
Well, oh God, another good question. I believe so. So years ago at Loose Women, we had Diabetes UK come in and do tests on us. And they weighed me and they said that I was pre-diabetes, diabetic.
Oh, really?
So, and the way to control that was to lose weight. But you see, you don't have to be hugely overweight either. You know, people tend to think that diabetes only comes... So it can be lots of things. You don't always have to be overweight. So bring down your weight, exercise more. That's when I first started doing the steps. Was all those years ago when I got that pre and I was...
Was that when you were bouncing around on the...
and I was really...
well?
Like so much of like what I do now is because I want to avoid diabetes. So,
Right.
So, and because I've watched my dad manage it so well for 30 years, a lot of people can sort of neglect it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you go from pill. Dad's did his years with diet for years and years. He
Managed it, yeah.
Then he had to move on
why
to
he
pills. I mean, he's
developed
nearly 90 now, so now he's on insulin. But you just want to delay it. The thing about diabetes is a very insidious disease because it affects everything: eyesight, heart, your arches of your feet can get fallen arches.
Can you?
So you lose the
Fallen
feeling.
arches?
Yeah, you can lose the feeling in your feet. Like
Wow.
When I was doing City Hospital, I was
Oh, I see. So you're not aware of the tension you need to have in
but
place.
also you could have a tiny cut and then you could leave it. So it's really, I really, really do have so much sympathy for people with diabetes. Young people with type 1, oh my God, it's just so hard because they have to watch everything they eat and everything they drink.
Someone's asking, isn't there a sort of pregnancy diabetes? A friend of ours, Natasha, you developed a sort of, it's like a temporary diabetes.
There's been an increase in that, which is weird, in gestational diabetes.
DK1612, age onset type 2 diabetes. That's interesting because I think my
It's what your nan
grandfather and my nan developed.
But your nan was very overweight, and also like diet is really important. So, for instance,
type 2 can be cured by all accounts.
Well, like what they're doing now with people that are first diagnosed with type 2, aren't they? With a lot of people, is putting them on these extreme diets so they lose weight very quickly, because that can literally avert you from having to go onto medication.
Right.
But it's things like...
Hi, Sally, or something.
Yeah, diabetic leg ulcers. I mean, it's just...
Wow.
And I remember, again, years ago when I was working at City Hospital, this
Morning, Elliot.
doctor saying to... Can we have the thing up again?
Sorry.
Saying to me, it will be diabetes that brings down the National Health Service. He said, and he said to me that he just amputated a leg of a young person as well from diabetes that had been neglected. They hadn't looked after it and all this. So, here we go. 90% of diabetes patients have type 2, a condition much more likely to develop if people are overweight. Much more likely, but not only.
Did you know this? About 2/3 of adults in the UK are overweight or obese.
No, I did know that.
Anyway, the
important thing
story
is
here,
even
just
if you're
quickly, is that
overweight-
cases have just topped 5 million for the first time.
It feels like what he was saying those years ago is now happening. So things that I learned, like from watching my dad manage his diabetes so well, like, so he would always do a little bit of a walk after he'd eaten to bring down your blood sugar. So he would go for a 10-minute walk. So these are all things we can do without having diabetes, because all this stuff is really good for your body. So like if you're having grapes, for instance, you know, people will often give their children, like, they go, oh, it's gorgeous, they're eating a whole box of grapes, but that sends the glucose up. So you would only have, the diabetic nurse said, and she said at the time, this is for everyone, not just people, just what you can put in the palm of your hand like that, like a tiny little thing of grapes like that.
Wow.
Like, stick to blueberries and raspberries and all those low sugar stuff.
So, I mean, like most things, it all comes back to diet. It all comes back to healthy eating. I mean,
well, not all, because it's about a movement as well.
Yeah, an activity. I mean, healthy living. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The report also expresses, this is by Diabetes UK charity, alarmingly, they say, the condition is becoming increasingly common among those under the age of 40. Well, there's also cases of childhood diabetes.
That's type 1.
Is it? Oh, I see.
But
right.
I'm presuming, I don't know, we're making this up as we go along, but I presume that also if a child becomes, well, that's what this doctor was saying, that the obesity crisis in young people is causing diabetes as well.
Okay, here's a question. So I get it that diabetes 2 is potentially curable. I guess there's always going to be exceptions to that. That it kind of is exacerbated or aggravated or originates in poor lifestyle, etc. Here's a question. If your population has more and more people with diabetes 2, does that potentially lead to more children being born with diabetes 1, I wonder? I wonder if it kind of passes down. I wonder if the condition of a diabetes 2 pregnant mum kind of leaves a child in more risk.
It's just to think that we just always have to think about people just tend to go, I'm going to get diabetic. If I carry on like this. But you know what? You've got to do everything to try not to get it, because those people here that are listening now that have diabetes, you know only too well. Watched my dad, like, for the last 30 years, you know, having to watch everything he eats, and you know, he gets so ill sometimes,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Elsa Pop, this is, on one level, this is awful. My mum was diagnosed with, well, on 2 levels, this is all, sorry. My mum was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, age 40. The doctor told her it was due to me and my brother being big babies.
Or do you mean
she
got diabetes? Because when you get gestational diabetes, you get these really big babies. Maybe is that what you mean?
She died age 58 due to heart failure.
Oh my God.
Apparently it skips a generation.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. Oh, look, someone's just gifted. Oh, Stacey Randall.
Stacey, you're so naughty.
You're just such a naughty, you're like a squirrel.
Stacey has just gifted membership. So some
10 of you are going to suddenly
randomly get a membership to our
members
membership
area, where you will get a No Name
Stacey.
Sunday show. Just to let you know, the No Name Sunday show this weekend is going to be another live one. A members live is coming. We're just sort of jostling around with times to work out where. We kind of hoping to do a members walk, but it might be at the weekend.
Yeah,
It's probably
yeah.
the weekend. Okay, so that's the diabetes. This is an interesting story, which you were talking about on your Insta Live. And the headline here is Dame Deborah James. I think this comes off the back of a documentary or an archival documentary that's coming out. Dame Deborah James warned husband Sebastian he couldn't hook up with certain women after she died. What do you think of this, guys?
Well, so she said, he was going
It's
to be
quite
an
light-hearted.
extremely eligible bachelor. Yes, she did sort of have a roar of laughter at the end of this, that she'd given him a list of people. You can imagine that they had that conversation, well, so-and-so's always liked you, and she'd said, if you get together with any of these women, I will do my level best to come back and haunt you. It's strange because...
Well, she's saying, did she name people or did she mention types?
People.
Oh,
Exact
right.
people.
Oh, wow. I wonder how those people felt. Well, maybe those people don't know.
Yeah, Erin, thank you. The reminder there that it can also affect your vision. So it's just, we want to do
Diabetes.
everything not to get diabetes. So, what do you think of that?
Elliot Gonzalez, looking forward to seeing you later. Elliot went to a special screening of the documentary the other week and it's wonderful. Really portrayed the brilliant woman she was. There wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I bet.
Oh, it's a festival de can. What do I think about this? Okay, bearing in mind she said it very lightheartedly. So I think, obviously she, and a lot of people do have a sort of gallows sense of humour.
Would you, if you were dying, would you be thinking... Because, as we all know, because you've spoken about it very openly, you have really suffered with jealousy through your life. You've worked fucking hard on it and you're a million times better now. But do you think that would carry on across the grave?
Well, the weird thing is that I can't think of many straight men that you know.
No, but not even that, but just men generally, being with somebody, not specifics.
Well, once you're dead, you're dead. And the extent to which I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I think for me, it would be what you did with your love life after I died would have to pivot around what was best for, obviously you, but also the children. I think it would have to, I think there'd be more, but I also think you would consider so many things. So, of course, I'd hate the thought of once I'm dead, you're upstairs knobbing someone and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, did we have to go there?
Well, and I'm sure that even in my dead state, I'd be arching an eyebrow and kind of going, oh,
More than arching, I think you'd fully haunt. Morning, gorgeous.
So there's that aspect of it. There's also the aspect of it that if it was someone, I tell you what I would have an issue with, and maybe this is what she was talking about, is if there was someone who I'd always felt was sort of a bit dubious in their intentions in the wings, had always had a bit of an eye in a sort of, not in a jokey way or a light-hearted way, but actually felt, and I always sort of thought, that's a bit weird, their relationship. I would probably not be happy about that because I'd have felt that it was delivering on a deceit that was there in my life. Bearing in mind I'll be dead, so it doesn't matter. Okay, vice versa. What about you?
Well, anyway, Kaz always says that if I ever kick the bucket, she's going to be right round here with casserole.
Yeah, I've already been down there to test drive the whole concept.
A number of my friends do say that, actually.
And Lisa Lou.
Yeah, and Lisa always says that. So I have got friends that are ready to come round and give you a casserole.
Form an order, give me a casserole. What's that a euphemism for? What about you? With me?
I would absolutely give you carte blanche. I would want you as
With
soon
anyone?
as possible to be with somebody else, because I think you're a two-person person. I think you're like a penguin.
Well, an Adderley penguin. There are Adderley penguins.
I think you're a lovebird. I think that you're supposed to be with somebody. And
Wonder Woman says Mark could join in as a ghost.
I would make it very public as well. I would say, I hope that within a year, within 6 months, you're with somebody else. And do you remember Helen McCrory, who said, be with somebody as soon as you can, but just don't snog anyone at my funeral. I loved that.
Yes.
That would be my essence.
Yes.
Because I know it wouldn't mean that you didn't love me for the time that we were together, but I know that you would need somebody.
Lucy Ruth, I literally wouldn't care as long as he was happy and my kids were happy. I mean,
But would you give them carte blanche? It's whether you would actually say it to them so that they could be truly guilt-free.
But the problem is, someone can sort of begin to be, potentially. I mean, you can't legislate against the highs and lows of an incoming relationship. There's a lot made of the fact that people sometimes. It's felt that sometimes people meet people too soon.
Well, I just don't agree with that at all.
Oh, okay.
I hate it when people say that about people because you just never know. Until you've walked in someone's shoes, you just never know. Grief is a terrible, terribly painful thing. And people have different ways of dealing with that.
Oh, look, Natasha Tilmore said, if it was too soon, I'd be pissed off. I think I would be too. It'd be like, God, how fast are you moving? Is this an indication? Sorry, I'm keeping you up. Is this an indication that things weren't great? I mean, do you know what I mean? I'd feel like that. I think I would. I think I'd feel a bit kind of bloody hell if I was alive, if I could have a feeling. You wouldn't. If a week later I was with someone, you wouldn't have a problem
Well,
with that.
obviously a week later, I would think that you'd lost your mind. I would be worried if it was a week later because I would be worried about the person that you were with because it would be literally, they would be being used as a medication and they might really fall for you and it would be, a bit like rebound. I think you can have death rebound where you rebound into another relationship because you're just in pain. Which is fine for that person, but what about the person you're rebounding with?
Yeah. Someone did say, Naj is bored.
No, I'm not. I wasn't. It's just I've got the yawns.
Yeah, I think we're getting like 5 hours sleep a night. Oh, there's a squirrel, which is one of the stories we're going to get to. Okay, this jumped out from the headlines to me as I thought, I couldn't quite believe this. A company have put out an advert for something called Back to School Botox.
Wait for this, guys.
So this is a company called Glow Day, beauty treatment comparison site. And this is what they say in their advert for mums, kind of new mums too, in the playground, the school gates, all that kind of stuff. The start of the new school term has an extra edge of anticipation for us mums this year. No, it doesn't. It never fucking does. It feels like the beginning of normality, with women bearing the brunt of it all. So there's a few ideas if you're one of those mums who wants to dazzle at the school gates.
Who wants to dazzle at the school gates?
It then says this: Botox is the most popular poison of choice for mothers, including photographs of women having the treatment. Over a quarter of women say lockdown has aged them and are turning to non-surgical aesthetic treatments to put the spring back in their step and perhaps feel more like themselves on the school run.
All of that is fine. And, I may still have a neck lift. I absolutely have no judgment on any of that. But I just judge this company because actually you are putting pressure. It's like by saying you've got to look perfect for the school gates. Selling it on people's insecurity. I think there are so many cosmetic surgeons out there that should literally be struck off, that allow people who have clearly got dysmorphia and are in trouble and just keep on giving them, treatment after treatment after treatment.
Yeah, a psychologist
playing into people's insecurities. I think you should be allowed to advertise it.
A psychologist at the University of the West of England says young mothers are being targeted more specifically because they're particularly vulnerable to insecurity, because postpartum bodies do not match the ideal appearance we see every day. Companies and advertising industry are making money out of women's insecurity. But I mean,
listen,
I think these companies are making money out of women's insecurities all the fucking time.
Yeah, but I just think heavy advertising is wrong.
And aiming it
really
at vulnerable, because new mums and mums at the school, but generating that sense of unwrinkled competition. Are women going to stand in a playground going, do women comment on other women's Botox? Do people go, oh, that's a good one? Or do they go, oh, I can't see any? Or do they say nothing? Is there a sort of conspiracy of silence?
I should think it's all about the above all. It just depends how well people know each other and whether they're, whether they're sharing what they've done or not. But As I said, I've got no problem with any of that, but I've got a problem with a company that says it's time to look better at the school gates.
Yeah, what do you think, guys?
It's just so toxic. And you know what is so sexist? You know, it's just that women constantly have to be in competition with each other no matter what. It's like there's not a single loose woman that has ever done an interview without the journalist saying, so, you know, what's it like? Do you really row? And how competitive are you? Do you ever ask a man that? Do you ever ask a man that? Do you ever say, would anyone ever say, oh, look, men, stop turning up at the school gates looking like you've just been dragged through a hedge backwards? What are the other men going to think of you if your hair's all ruffled and you haven't had a shave?
I don't think women say that to each other.
Listen, women, it's just this constant tone of competition around women, that women have to compete with each other, or you know, on their looks, and I just hate it.
This is the bit I don't understand with Botox, kind of going off on a sidebar really, but it's Amanda Roach says, some of my son's 24-year-old friends are having Botox. Why are you having Botox when you're so young?
Because there's this misconception that if you have it earlier, you will never get a wrinkle. But the problem is, if you have it at such a young age, then eventually that will affect those muscles. So it really is something to have later on, not.
But doesn't Botox run out? Doesn't it just sort of, doesn't it? I mean, I'm sure it has a temporary life. They do in Italy. I think it's women, not men, says Jackie Vellino. Tori, sorry, hi Tori. They do in Italy.
What do you mean run out?
Well, like if you have an injection, after 18 months, you need a top up, or you know, it's kind of. It doesn't. You don't get one injection and your forehead stays straight for the rest of your life.
No,
so
of course not.
Why
and
would
then some
youngsters
people want more and more, so they'll have a bit and then they'll go back for more, and then more, and then more, and then more. But good and, you know, proper aesthetic doctors will not allow that to happen. The problem is, all kinds of people can give people Botox. They have Botox parties where people come around, you know, have a load of Prosecco, and then there's somebody sitting there selling Botox. Now, you might never have thought of having it, but a couple of Proseccos in and all your friends going, come on. All of that, I think, is you know, it's just
We've
wrong.
definitely gone past the point of everyone sort of arching an eyebrow with Botox, and now we're in a sort of situation where it's just kind of, okay, it's just one of the things we do. Someone said women don't do it face to face, they talk about each other behind their backs. Tori, I always get told I look tired. I think men do feel it. I think men feel the pressure over a certain age. I do. I mean, for example, if you were to start having... My worry as a man is that because men are less likely to do this, though I know a lot of younger men do, lots of men who are younger than a lot of women are going to end up looking like Hugh Grant much sooner, and women are going to look artificially younger and younger and younger when they're 80. I mean, that for me is the worry, and where the balance is, in a sense, between obviously making yourself feel more confident as a woman, but also losing that natural aging balance. I mean, that for me is the golden egg, isn't it? How to encourage your confidence as a woman or as a man, and to also age at the same time. That for me is complicated.
But you have no acceptance of age, do you?
No, but that's my point.
I mean, you really don't. Like every single thing, you're like, oh, it's like, I'm saying we can't be 18 again.
No, I know, but I think women more than men think they can maintain that.
We can. Well, I just think that's the rocky road. I think do everything that you can, but you've got to stay within the realms of reality. You know, if you're trying to like reverse reality to such an extreme, then that backfires. But you know me, if somebody says something nasty, if a woman says something nasty to me about another woman, about their looks, I get such bad friendic. I get the really bad ick. I'm just like, I was talking to the girls about this the other day, and I was really proud of them. They said the same thing.
Well, if the girls slag
yeah,
off other girls.
if they go, and they look so, and they're really, it makes me feel sick.
Right.
I mean, it just makes me just, whatever you are, I'm now going to be looking at you in a different way. If you're going to go, oh, well, her ass is so big, or her this, or her that, or this. I hate that. And that is the power. We must not talk like that about other women. I mean, you can have a bit of a like, bloody hell, what's that dress? Oh, what's those shoes? But to actually attack somebody directly for the way they look, I find it...
Hazel Malbon says, I think men get better with age.
Not all.
Joe McKenna, don't think Botox is attractive, leaves scary-looking faces which are unnatural. And I think
it's if it's used too much.
Yeah,
if it's used properly by a proper doctor, it can be amazing.
But that's the problem with all sorts of kind of plastic surgery or any kind of, that sort of thing, is the person doing it never knows when enough is enough. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so back to school Botox. I just think that's quite shocking.
I just don't like the way it's being marketed.
Right,
Makes somebody feel really insecure about themselves.
Okay, here's a poll quickly. The secret lives of squirrels. We talk about squirrels quite a lot. We've talked about, do you like squirrels? Or are they a menace? So squirrels, we have a lot in our garden and they're really annoying. And I think I've shared in the past how I have a sort of tin bin of bird food in the garden. And one morning I saw a squirrel on the bin, and this is no exaggeration. It moved a chainsaw that was on top of the bin to the side, opened the bin, put its hand in and took a load of stuff. Squirrels are becoming incredibly adept at kind of wrecking stuff. And this is a piece in The Guardian that you found, Nance, wasn't it? Knowing how much I love squirrels. Saying that squirrels are getting to a really, really dangerous point. 2.7 million greys are on the rampage, by all accounts, starting fires, flooding homes and destroying ancient trees. Is it right? Maybe that should have been the question. Is it right? I'm going to end that one. Do you like squirrels? Yes. Is it right to ever kill squirrels if they are essentially vermin? Discuss. Is it right to kill squirrels? Now, when you get a squirrel in your house, they're not like rats or mice. They don't have enormous nests. It's usually one. It's a family. The family but they're very incredibly hard to budge, and they can cause as much damage. Apparently, I mean, there's one story here which is astonishing. A lady found a squirrel in the bathroom. I'll tell that one in a minute. That's very funny. Someone here talks about having come home, their television had been pulled off the wall. Their sort of sofas had been torn apart and kind of destroyed. And then when she went up into the bathroom, she found a dead squirrel in the bath with a smile on its face because it had chewed through the Listerine bottle and choked and died on the alcohol.
What, pissed?
No, dead. It died.
Died from alcohol poisoning?
Yeah, died with a smile on its face.
Oh my God.
There is another story here.
Drank the Listerine.
Yeah. The telly was off the wall, plates were smashed, furniture ripped, and the dead squirrel was up. Now, people are saying that the reason is that there's such sort of fond affection for them is simply because of two things.
The tail.
The bushy tail, but also the fact that they actually have hands. Apparently this is something that really...
When they hold the nut, they look
sweet,
so cute.
Makes you think of Beatrice
But
Potter.
I'm scared of them. Because I know somebody that was bitten by a squirrel.
So do I.
I'm scared of them. To me, they're a wild animal.
Now, there's another case study in this article about someone who was attacked by a squirrel.
Yeah.
It sunk its teeth into his finger. He couldn't get it off. He had to decapitate the squirrel and go to hospital with the squirrel's head.
You are
with the
kidding
squirrel's
me.
head still attached to his finger.
So they do lockjaw, like pit bulls
and like rabbits, they need to and rats, they need to keep their teeth moving and active, otherwise they become enormous.
Oh my God!
But yeah, I mean, we have a real problem, and I think there is a growing sort of body of people who want to encourage...
Oh look, Tez, the squirrels fight you in New York.
I'm not surprised. Well, the squirrels in London are addicted to drugs. They go around, they obviously...
Not all of the squirrels.
Not...
Just so that we don't get sued by any squirrels.
There's
squirrels.
Sometimes when you're driving in London, you can see... You know those adverts in America where you see a picture of someone before they got addicted to meth and then a picture afterwards, and it's such a dramatic contrast. I have driven around London and sometimes a squirrel will fly out, stand in the middle of the road. It's clearly off its tits on some kind of drug because it looks drawn, it looks gaunt. Sometimes it's holding a gun. Squirrels here are quite unpredictable. There's a good example here of how a lot of homes, squirrels will chew through all sorts of cables. And there was one instance where it chewed through a cable, it burst into flames. And what squirrels do, curiously, apparently, is once they're under threat, they just stand still. That's probably why they get run over. And so someone found one that was like a miniature hog roast, which had been burnt and incinerated. But the other suggestion also by Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. My name's Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. I'm on a boat.
I'm going to try and catch a fish.
I'm going to cook squirrel.
I might then eat the squirrel.
So they're talking about whether we should kill them and cook them. Could they be the urban version of the chicken?
So it's not illegal to kill them now?
Yes, I think it is illegal.
Oh, it's illegal.
But the weird thing is, if you catch a squirrel, I think legally you have to hold on to it. You can't let it go. Like if you, there's something like that. I think you have to call the RSPCA or something like that. No, this isn't April Fool. Okay, well, look, there you go, squirrels. Let's have a look. What do you think of squirrels? Is it right to kill squirrels? A quarter of you say yes. 3/4 of you say no. Wow. Well, squirrels are gonna, like the Walking Dead, dominate the world. Final thing I just wanted to share, because I love this. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, I'll be back, was photographed in Los Angeles. We need him here in the UK, terminating a pothole. There's footage of him sick to death of a pothole in his road. So he's gone out, created his own tarmac, put it in, spread it, and basically fixed his road. We could really do with him in Lambeth and Croydon. I'll tell you that right
Come
now.
round ours.
Yeah. So Schwarzenegger, he's a pothole hero. He posted on Twitter, today after the whole neighborhood has been upset about this giant pothole that's been screwing up cars and bicycles
don't talk
for
about
weeks.
Stacey, her terrible injury.
I
Stacey.
went out with my team and fixed it. I always say, let's not complain, let's do something about it. Here you go. Good old
Stacey doesn't
Arnold.
want us to talk about potholes because of her accident.
Oh, sorry, Stacey.
Sorry, Stacey.
Well, you need Arnold. We all need Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. Well, there we go, guys.
Right, so we need to do a happy birthday.
Yeah, April Hill.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear April Hill. Happy birthday to you.
And Shelley, it's your birthday too.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shelley. Happy birthday to you.
And can I just say, Julie Beddoe says, grey squirrels, you're right, see, cannot be re-released once they're caught.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, guys, have a lovely day.
Lots of love.
And we'll see you soon.